Stephen, Yaki way appraisals. Well, I don't think agents realize. I don't think they realize that you have to jump through hoops practically if to show something's not supported.
Just price is $600,000. If I bring it in at $700,000, it takes me a little while to explain the variance. If I brought it in at 550 or 575, it takes me 3 times as long as it would to explain why it's over as it is to explain why it's under. And every QC person will submit other comps. Hell, they'll submit comps, and then when you agents get the appraisal and it's low, you're also going to submit comps and argue that appraisal. This quadruples the amount of time that we would spend on one report. So it's not us. You have to understand that the time, you have to think about it, the time that we spend to kill a deal is nauseating. It's like, when I see one's coming in lower, like this one I'm literally typing up behind me right now, I thought I was going to cut it. And I'm like, please, 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 I just need one. Give me one sale that works, because then I can save myself 6 hours of frustration, 3 review requests, and comp suggestions later. So while it's okay to cut a deal, it has to be done sometimes. It is most definitely not our first, second, or third choice. We barely want to do it because of the risk and the amount of time it spends that we have to spend to do it. And appraisers are finicky, angry little people. And then last thing they're doing is giving away free time. So don't jump into it thinking, oh, they love to do this. That is our least favorite thing to do, simply just to make it easy, simply because of time and money. We're not going to give it away for free, and that's what happens. So if it is a cut and it is lower, you may have issues with it, and you may want to comp suggestions, blah, blah, blah. Don't go into it thinking that we had fun doing it or we did it from malice or whatever. We really had to make that decision, and then we had to quadruple our work to sell it. So keep that in mind when you're out there and you're angry the next time an appraisal comes in below contract.
Yeah. I can't understand why anybody, especially an investor, especially at a volatile time, an investor by all means should be calling an appraiser to consult and say, can you look at this and analyze the feasibility of this? Because there are so many unknowledgeable people diving in because all the gurus are done because the hyper appreciation is done. So they're selling their programs. They're selling, they're making the money off the coaching programs now. But you try and dive in and make quick thousands of dollars a week by wholesaling, flipping, or rental or short term. You better be analyzing that stuff with an appraiser. You better be analyzing somebody that's knowledgeable, that looks at everything. Like, what's the worst case analysis? Because you got to be covered.
Yeah. So let me show you something else, because you just brought up a really good point. I have one up here and I can't show you the address because I'm appraising it on Monday, but I want to show you. Most of the time, go look up your own address in Zillow, just for fun. Go type it in. 99% of the Zillow, because I always look the property up on Zillow before I accept the file, because I want to see what I'm getting myself into and what kind of fee, right? So I look it up. I'm looking at one right now. It's literally on my screen. And the thing says that it's under contract today at this price, blah, 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 because it steals it from MLS. But it also says this property has declined 2.3% for the last month, and the rental income is down $1,300 a year. Here's the big thing. That's math that they're taking from other sales, kind of like what an appraisal does, except they don't take into specifics. They're just taking in square footage and then like a square area, right? That's all that Zillow does. By the time someone looks up their house and then they decide that they want to sell it, and then you guys work together, and before it hits the market, that's been weeks, right? Weeks. This just says it's losing that much money in a month. When you get to it in this market today, you are no longer looking at the Zestimate from July 1st. You're looking at the Zestimate that should be July 21st. That took 21 days to figure all of that out. And based on this, it's going down. So you have to always go into it thinking, I've started today. By the time we get to the appraisal, today's market is softening. It is not going down. I genuinely, you and I agree on this. I don't think that Arizona is going to see a big decline like we were thinking possibly was going to happen. There are some sections that I think are going to have bigger problems. The other, Sedona, is going to be screwed. But I only say that because of the amount of rental properties over there, and whatever happens else. We can talk about that later. That's a big situation.
Yeah, that's a whole other subject. Yeah,
whole other one. But that's the point. Is any sort of AVM automatic thing or AI tool that they will develop is going to be highly, highly suspect. I get a lot of pre-appraisals right now from my Instagram account because I have a lot of people that I interact with on there. And there's this one agent who's one of my favorites. Her name is Cassandra. And I think she's had 4 of them now because she sees the value. And every one of the ones that we do is just a desktop. We do it from the desk. We look at it from our scope and we tell her. And she takes those and she loves it. And then you can see her list prices within 5% of what our appraised value is.
That's
It's
awesome.
a smart idea. And it's not expensive. It's just an easy thing that you do that you guys use as a write-off. It's a business expense. It's part of your thing. And that right there goes to help you get it right the first time.
What's your range of price for desktop?
A desktop, I always quote my friends over here, $250. A lot of other people charge, depending on the type of desktop you want. If you want a sketch, it's going to be more. We got one the other day because they were very unclear about the square footage. That is a big deal because most agents don't understand how houses are measured. It's not county records. Believe me, that's wrong. We have something called ANSI where we have to take into consideration all of these things. We don't include guest houses, bunk houses, casitas. Those can't by law be included in the square footage. So we've gotten a lot of these private orders saying, can you just give us a sketch? And a sketch is like $120, $150, depending on the square footage or the area or complexities. But that's just another thing that we do to at least show you the real square footage. Because if you are thinking, and this is what I always say, is if you have even the most remote inkling that this is going to come in under, or I don't know the square footage, I can't tell you how important it is, I think, for you to get a pre-appraisal, because that'll at least put your mind at ease and know this is what an appraiser, unbiased, without a list price to try to hit or a contract price, thinks that this is going to come in at. Not necessarily what it'll sell at, but what an appraised value will come in at. And if today there are not as many cash buyers as there were in the past 2 years, you definitely want to know what another appraiser is seeing in that area. You desperately want to know that, because if your appraisal comes in lower than what that one is, you can always say, hey, I had a desktop appraisal done. Here are the comps that they used. Why didn't you use these comps? Or why is your adjustment so different than these supportable adjustments? It's ammunition for you, agents, brokers, and whoever, to fight a bad appraisal later, a bad appraisal or low appraisal. You can use that to battle it. But really, I always market those on, you need to know what we see before you do it so that there's no surprises at the end. And honestly, 250, 275 to me that's nothing in the grand scheme of getting your deal closed. It's not that much. And also it saves your whole brand. It saves your rep.
It's so worth it. I mean, a home warranty is more than that. And the thing about,
yes,
you know what I mean? It's like 350 or 400 and 450. So this is such great insurance to have this up front, because right now there's a lack of comps. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be, you appraisers are working hard, double hard right now, because it's so slow. And you know, there's just like a lack of data to analyze. We had one that we got an offer within 2 weeks, but you know, having to put together a package. Oh my gosh. I put together a package for the appraiser. I was like, oh my gosh, bless his heart.
See, I love that. So I'm going to take that. I was actually going to film a video about this last week, but I'll just say it right here and then I'll do it on my own later. I'm a big fan of appraisal packets. I'm a big fan of interaction between an agent and an appraiser. I've already said that. It's one of the things why I even do what I do today, is because I enjoy talking. I even like, I'll use the lack of better words, I even like agents that like to talk crap. I like them because it's just very clearly a misunderstanding, and I usually can help alleviate that situation because I get it and I like to talk. Here's the thing I want to talk about appraisal packets. I love them, but they need to be given to the appraiser. This is crucial. If you're listening to this, please take this seriously. If you have an appraisal packet, you need to give it to the appraiser before the inspection for multiple reasons. I'm going to give you one huge one. Today, a lot of AMCs and lenders are allowing us to use MLS photos for comps, which is absolutely a game changer. Most of the time when we have to drive comps, it takes time, gas is expensive as hell, and really it does nothing. A lot of times it actually adds some complexities to the thing, because if a house sold in July and it was blue on the MLS listing, and then I go in August and they've repainted it, a lot of times QC says, hey, that doesn't look like the same house. And I have to say, thanks for wasting my time. It's clearly been repainted since then. You can check the fencing in the garage door. It's the same. So, long story. they're allowing us to use MLS, but not every agent, not every AMC and not every lender allows that. Here's why we need that up front, is because if we're going out there and your lender does not allow the use of MLS photos, we have to drop what we're doing and drive those comps. We drive those comps the same time that we're inspecting your house. So if you give us an appraisal packet when we show up to the house, 90% of the time, we've already driven the comps. We already know where we're going to come in with this value, and we have a good idea of what the market is going on and what's happening. If you give us those comps early, then we can look at those before we waste the time, because I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't think of any time, in my entire 20 years of doing this, maybe 5 times total, I've had to go back out and drive other comps, maybe 5. Because I always ask for comps up front. I always do a good job of analysis. I grab extra ones just in case it doesn't work and blah, 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 blah. No one is wanting to go home or to their office, typing it in and then going, damn, that comp would have helped. I'm going to go back and spend 40 more minutes driving to take that one photo and do it. Give those to us in advance so we can at least see where your headspace is at and where you were thinking, and we could know in advance that you were considering this comp. And if we want it, we can use it. If not, then we don't use it. Either way, an appraisal packet with comps in advance is crucial. That and upgrades. We want to know what kind of upgrades. And I don't care. I've seen wild lists of upgrades where agents literally write new door handles, $13, door locks, little tiny things that they've done to the house because they want to milk every penny. I'm okay with that too, because all I do is copy and paste that and stick that in the report. It saved me time. And it's easier for me to tell the lender that the house has been updated or remodeled. I can always just say, these 90 things have been done. And while they may be small, it's a sales tool. We're salesmen, okay? We have to sell the lender on that value. We have to sell them on it. So if there's a list of upgrades, the earlier you give those to us, the better. We can take those into consideration, know what the house is going to be like before we go. But more importantly, we can find comps that have similar upgrades, which is good for your purchase price. So get your packets together and send them as soon as you contact the appraiser. Some appraisers will be, and they will say, we don't want it. Don't send it to us. And if that's the case, then you found an appraiser that doesn't want extra help. It is what it is. I can't think
I've never had anybody that is like refused it. It was just some were more incognito, and I had to call like the AMC and say, excuse me, I want to give a list to the appraiser. Do I send it to you? I want to do it before they have to go out to the property so they know the background of the marketing we did, how many offers we got, all the things they can't see on the MLS. Where do I send that? And they usually give me the email of the
right.
appraiser.
See, and that's good. And a lot of times, like even my company, I don't do this because I'm one of the only ones in my company that doesn't do this. And I know that it ruffles some feathers, but screw them. I don't care. They know my position. I refuse to have a scheduler do it for me. I call every single agent and schedule for multiple reasons.
That's awesome.
But the main one is I ask those questions. If you have a scheduler that's just sitting in an office that calls numbers and schedules an appointment and puts it in the computer or uses Showtime or something like that, there's not a lot of communication. I always do that. So if you get one of those people that's scheduled, I would highly recommend doing what you just said. Again, you cannot be lazy in this industry today on either side or you're going to get screwed. You have to take that extra step. If you print it out and you leave it on the counter, like most of the ones I see for appraiser, and I get in there's the appraisal packet. I love you for doing that. You did the extra work and I can at least see where you're at. But it would have gone a lot further if we had that before we drove to the property, because then we can go drive those new comps if we didn't consider them or see them in the first place. So it's one of those things. Earlier is better. Do the extra time. Call and see if you can get in touch with the appraiser. You don't even have to give a phone number. Just say, can I get the appraiser's email so I can send them our appraisal packet? The only lender in the country that I know for a fact does not allow this is Chase. And I even think that Chase changed their mind on that, because it's a little weird. How can you say no? We won't accept comps from you up front because it's influence, but we can when you appeal the file or when QC thinks that the value is wrong. They may have changed their mind, but literally if it's anybody else, they're allowed to. VA, FHA, whatever lender, it does not matter. Try to get your appraisal packet up front. I don't actually think it takes long to pull comps that I would pull when I marketed it. It's a one-page
You should be doing this. People, agents, whether they're representing buyers or sellers, should have all this data in front of them anyway, because they're not going into the listing blind, and they're not going in not protecting their buyer, I would hope, and
Right.
analyzing to make sure that they show them, well, this is somewhere in here is a totally reasonable offer. So feel comfortable with it.
Absolutely. This is as easy as it is. Now, this is how I would do it. I don't know if this is how you guys do it. If you get someone coming up saying, I want to sell my house and we live in Deer Valley Estates, right? Whatever. And then you say, great, what's your square footage? You probably look it up on Monsoon or tax records and get an idea of what's going on. Then the very next thing I would do, and I would hope that this is how agents do it too, is let's look up Pine Valley Estates with 1,500 square foot homes over the past 6 months. That right there is a PDF with just addresses and square footages. All you have to do, agents, when you're doing that initial research, just have a folder like I do on my computer that I just call appraisal, appraisal or whatever, or Mesquite Drive, whatever. And then just print off that one PDF. And then when it comes down to it, you can send that one PDF. That's what this agent literally just did. And most of the comps did not work, but at least they had that in a split second. In a split second, I asked for it. They were like, sure, I'll shoot it over to you right now. Right away, I got 8 comps. 2 of them I used.
That's
So
gold advice.
It's super simple and easy. It doesn't mean you have to do the city breakdown and then all this other stuff. How about just start with the basics? If you're going to look in Deer Valley Estates for 1,500 square foot homes, because that's what we are, and you get that search, just print that as a PDF. You don't have to go into the details. All we need is addresses, sales prices, square footage, and like an MLS number, which is right there. So just print that off and save that as on the side. And then when it comes time, it's a one-page thing. So
that's helping agents be real effective there with their time, because you're doing it anyway. Just have that backup and be prepared for when the appraisal comes around, because that's the kind of work that we're expected to do anyway. But that's the kind of work that the agents that are staying in the business are going to be doing, because it's just not going to be that easy anymore.
You just said exactly one of my favorite things. And the people that survive this industry over more than one cycle clearly know what they're doing. The other ones get filtered out pretty damn quick because they don't get it. They're too new, or they never did the actual time to make it right. The other people do. So that's it.
You can tell part-time realtors. You can just really tell. We had a situation with a offer we received on a recent listing we have, and there was somebody that called another agent. We got like 4 people the first open house. 4 people said, came by themselves or with their agent, said, we're going to be writing an offer in the next week. Nobody's really hurrying like they were.
Right.
They're thinking, they're analyzing things, and so that's great. So only one came through. One actual offer was received from an agent. Now today, a day later, after 2 days after people were saying that, 2 or 3 days, we actually got one offer yesterday. Great. It works, right, for the seller. Then today we got a call from an agent who said, did you receive the offer that we sent yesterday? Now, this is a great thing for agents to remember. Call immediately or text immediately and get a response from that agent to see that if they received the written offer in an email. Talk about communication. Communication is so key. I don't care whether it's text, phone call, email. You are so right. The lack of communication is really could kill your clients' chances.
This is off topic, but this just goes to show communication. There's an actor that I like very much so that played a voice in a cartoon that I liked called Adventure Time a few years ago. He's been in a ton of stuff like whatever, I can't remember his name, but anyway, I enjoy this actor. He's been on the news this morning a lot because he just found out that they made a sequel to the show and he's not the voice of the character. And he was like, wait, why am I not in this? It's because his agent never forwarded on the message from the studio, Cartoon Network. They said the agent never told him.
Oh my God.
So his agent lost him this gig and he is pissed and he's fired his agent.
Oh my
God.
I
mean, just to show
communication
you how
right there.
It's communication all the way. Even if you think that it's not a good deal or whatever, there's got to be a paper trail. You have to have a paper trail showing somebody that you told somebody somewhere just to cover your ass. But more importantly, it makes you look good. It keeps everybody on the same page. And by definition, it speeds things up. Because then I don't have to call and ask you a question if in the email it says that it was listed these 16 times or we have these offers or whatever. It's right there. Again, all I have to do is PDF that and stick that in the report. It's not a lot of time for me to do, but it's a ton of value that you guys get because all of that info that you wanted us to know is very simple for us to put in the report. And again, you have to think of us as salespeople. We have to sell this value to a lender.
Yeah.
And having that in there is great. So communication is crucial, and put it in paper.
I even confirmed that the appraiser that he got the upgrade list and everything from us. I mean, you just, what does it take? That extra confirmation is so key right now, because, you know, you may have spam folders, you know, it could go to spam.
At the bottom of almost every one of my packets that I get from agents now, it please says reply with confirmation.
There you go.
Okay. And guess what? In Gmail, there's a button that just says, yes, thank you. You don't even have to click send. You just click that button and it does it for you. So it's not that hard, but it is what it is. A lot of the texts I get say, I sent you this, please click yes, or say yes that you responded. I'm like, yeah, I got it. Okay, cool. So you're right. We need to know that everybody has heard the same information. And the really good news is if you do all of that and you don't like your appraisal later, that information is perfect, because you can say, I told the appraiser on, you know, September 8th that this and this and this and this, and they chose not to include that in the report. Now, I don't recommend anybody send any appraiser to the board. It's just a disaster. But if you ever want to fight an appraisal before it gets that far, you have proof that you sent this information that they didn't include. So, you know, it's one of those things, it's ammo for you, so do it.
So why don't you give where people can contact you, your phone number?
Oh, cool. My phone number is 928-225-4250. And I would highly recommend everybody just use Instagram. That's how I get most of my communications. And my Instagram is Yawkey, YAWKEY _way, WAY _appraisals. Go check that out over there. And most of the people that I work with that are agents message me from there. It's quite frequent that my inbox has 5 different messages from agents. So that's the way I recommend doing it.
That's
but
awesome.
If not, you can also email me at yawkeywayappraisals@yahoo.com. And there I can answer your questions, forward you to our website if you do want a pre-appraisal, so you can go through all of that information, blah, blah, blah. But also I gave you my number, text me. I love dealing with people and working with them on the outside.